Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Nell.
Hey Mel, I don't know why I yelled like that. You haven't lost your hearing in the past week, have you?
I have not. I know there is kilometer distance between us, but I can still hear you appropriately.
Okay, good. Well, if you didn't lose it, you're about to, that's for sure. How was your week?
Oh my gosh, my week feels like a complete blur, and I had an event last night in Toronto, so I got to stay overnight in a hotel room, which I have to say, 6 hours of consecutive sleep is like the
What?
highlight of like a lifetime right now.
6 hours when you have no one with you? Why? Why only
Because
6?
my body just like snaps up like a Pop-Tart, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
all
I
right,
get
well,
it.
I'm ready to rock. I got it like 6:30. I was up. I caught up on all of my GH. I took my shower. I got ready, put my makeup, got ready for work, and I was in the office before my other counterparts.
Well, yeah, obviously.
I know, but they got in at the regular time, but I was just like way super early, had my breakfast, had my coffee.
That's a lot accomplished early in the morning. My week was less eventful. So this is so stupid compared to like you doing important things and working. But so I had this thing to wash my face. I don't even know what it's called. Like it's like a face vibrator. Like it vibrates to give you like I know the words I choose sometimes. It's supposed to give you a deeper clean. So I got this before my baby was born. So before Logan. So I probably had it for 6 months now. So this week it lost its charge. So I actually haven't charged it since I got it. But seeing as how I got it 6 months ago, I have no idea where I put the charger. So I'm still on the lookout. So that's been my week.
So you're on a treasure mission.
Yeah, I have to figure that out because I'm like, I just stare at it on my counter and I'm just like, I really want to use this, but whatever. Yeah. So I'm going to look for it and hopefully by next week I will have found it. So this week I have to say there have been a few like standout instances. And I mean, I think we started the week off with Jason and Sam. So that was like, oh my gosh, is this going to happen? What did you think of this almost reunion?
Okay, like I was just so, I couldn't believe it. Like when she kissed him on the cheek goodbye, like, oh yeah, she kissed him on the cheek. He cannot just like walk out the door. And then when he grabbed her and kissed her, it's just also like the whole lead up, how he looked at her during the whole Lego thing. Like it was just all kept building.
The Lego thing. Building like the Lego castle.
So true though. That is like parenting, you know, stuff happens in the least expected moment.
Yeah.
You just
I
make
shouldn't
time
agree
when you
to
can.
that. So you go.
So, and then and I was like, I thought it was so funny though, like, 'cause yes, it's all like sexy and wonderful and I love seeing them together. And then he like clears off the table and like, I'm like, but dude, there's like a couch right there. Why did you like just throw everything?
But then he does go to the couch.
I know! Cause I'm like, why? And then we have to clean all that stuff up. Like, I don't get it. Then I went back into the brain of, oh, look at them. This is wonderful. And it was like really intense. And then the door knocked. I was just like, wow, I almost feel awkward looking.
Okay, like the thing is we have been waiting a while. Right? And the fact that other couples have gotten together a little quicker, and I know it's not the same caliber, like we saw Kiki and Griffin. So we're looking to Jason and Sam, and the whole scene, I'm like, freaking finally, this is so exciting. But the door, I'm like, who could this be? Oh my gosh, Alexis, could she be any more awkward? Like, no even decency to be like, sorry guys, close the door and then leave. No. Comes in, completes her mission, says I need to get this for Christina. But what killed me was her nerve. I'm sorry. Did Sam look like she wanted to be interrupted? Did she look like she needed saving? And then she had the nerve to be like, you're welcome? What?
I
You're
know.
welcome.
Oh my God. I was so thrown by that. I'm like, Alexis truly, truly lives in her own bubble with her own perspective of what is going on. Like, I was just like, wow, you are the ultimate block of life.
But I mean, she does it to Christina and talks about her behavior toward Christina with Sam. And now you're doing it with Sam. And I'm sorry, like, Sam has been with Jason before. You've gone through this. Basically, no matter what you say, she's going to do what she wants. And it's only going to create tension. Why? Why are you talking? And honestly, her of all people, she just doesn't even have the right to talk, given her history with Julian and then continuous contact with him.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, you are allowed to be this judgy and you are like trying to be friends with Julian and you have all this like sordid past with him. Like, oh my gosh, like I have no idea where she comes off always being on her high horse like that.
Yeah, that's why she annoys some people. I mean, I
Yeah.
like her overall, but that's just the thing that kind of gets to people. But anyways, and it seems like a lot of people had a lot of fun and a lot of like reactions to that whole scene. And I loved, I loved this one. I mean, this is how I felt too. So Chrissy _bear75 said, I'm aggravated right now. I was all excited and then nothing. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how Sam felt too.
I know.
I mean, on another note, it was kind of weird because this was before Morgan's memorial, so I'm just saying it's all a little kind of weird. But whatever, whatever gets them together. And then the other one that I found so funny is Ellison dot Rose. She's like, oh my God, waiting for this. And Alexis walks in, mood killer. Get them together already. We have waited long enough. Best daytime couple ever. I agree. They're best daytime couple. But man, haven't we waited long enough? What does Sam need to figure out at this point?
I know. That's what I kept thinking too. Like when they had that conversation, the talk, like if we're going to hop into that scene where they're like drinking and stuff like that, I thought it
Yeah.
was so great because Jason's like, wine? What is wine? Why are we sitting here talking about our feelings, drinking wine?
I know, but nothing came of it. Like, it was really fun. Like, I like that he says it in his own podcast on the Stone Cold and Jackal show, like how he likes that he has a personality this time around playing Jason. And the fact that he was laughing and cheersing to cold showers
Oh my
and
God, yeah, that was
obviously willing
amazing.
to, he is willing to wait for her. That's not an issue for him, and she knows that. But she did not really explain. I mean, she doesn't need to, but she didn't really give a hint as to what she's waiting on.
Yes, and that was like exasperating. Like I even took a sigh as you were saying it because what is there left to clear in your head? Like, you are not with Drew anymore. Like, yes, I didn't follow that whole story up until this point, but they obviously lead very separate lives and are still able to co-parent and cope with each other very well. You have your kid with Jason. Jason is the love of your life. You know how you feel about him. He obviously loves you too. You still have that mutual, like, everything is there except for the fact that you're both not a couple and this is just being drawn out for whatever reason.
Exactly. Whatever reason, we have no idea. And so, I mean, if she's not gonna get into it, then we'll stop getting into it at this point.
That's true.
So,
That's great.
so, so they have this awkward conversation. Could this not be any more weird? Alexis watching her like completely not fully dressed and obviously just fooling around with Jason, and they're trying to have this conversation. She's trying to lecture her. Anyway, so it flips from Jason and Sam, and then she brings up the watch again. She brought it up. The watch came up earlier this week with Laura, and then it came up again with Sam or something like that.
Yeah.
So what do you think? So the whole 10-10 thing, they keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. What do you think?
Because, okay, well, she keeps saying, like, they keep referring to her mother and that it's this and that. Like, I think that maybe it has, like, the Castellans have all these, like, weird things that they do and, like, weird, I don't want to say magical powers, but it almost feels that way. They come back to life. They have these cryogenic whatevers. They make babies out of nothing. So the watch, I feel, the watch I feel may be, directly related to her mother's death, maybe time of death, maybe a clue to something that would help her, have closure through this whole thing because it was such a like crazy ordeal. So like it's either a clue or a dig to her from beyond from Helena.
I definitely think it's a clue. At first I was starting to think that, it obviously, it's her mother's watch. It has to do with her death, but we know her death. Her death, like how her mother died, has been shoved in her face and our face throughout the years.
Yeah.
We know who did it. We also know like that Alexis has the murder weapon. It's all sick, but we know what happened. So I was just sort of like, what added detail does this bring? And then on Instagram, there were two people who pointed out. So I had posted on Instagram about that because I was curious. I wanted to know what other people thought. And so then Madonna and D Skitty 702 both pointed out to me that the day I had posted that was actually 10/10. It was the 10th of October. And so I was so creeped out. I still didn't know what it meant. So then at first, okay, so then I was like, okay, I did a little bit of digging. I mean, I try not to do that lately because I like to be a little bit surprised on the show. But then I looked it up because I don't know if you remember this, but a long time ago when somebody stole Cassandra, after Finn had helped her, she was in a limo and the person who helped her was wearing a Cassadine ring. So then I found this article that said that Stefan Cassadine had actually died the 10th of October, I think in 2003. And when he first appeared on General Hospital, they showed his ring first.
Ooh, that's a lot of foreshadowing and intertwining some real history in there.
Right. So it could be his return, or it just could be, you know, an echo of a nod to that while another Cassadine returns. They have, I mean, because Laura's back, that tension between her and Valentine is back, and she's mentioned her son. I mean,
true.
I'm hoping it's Nicholas, but I feel like it's not. I feel like it might, if anything, be Stefan Cassadine coming back. But I think maybe it's someone coming back.
I definitely agree. I think it's somebody coming back. I think we talked about this like right at the beginning that ideally I would like for Nicholas to come back if it's a recast or whatever it needs to be.
Yeah, I don't care.
No, like I just want to see the character come back and how that would unfold after, you know, that big ordeal of, you know, him being away and him dying. Is it amnesia? Is it like, what is it that kept him away? Like why, you know, and then him returning, is he going to be, because he was always kind of wavering between the good Nicholas and the bad Nicholas. Like he was always kind of that in-between guy. He was never pegged on one side of the Cassadine world or the other. So now that he's like, quote unquote, if he comes back to life, what side does he lay on? And how is that going to play out with the rest of his connections in Port Charles? Like, that would be so interesting.
I would want to see that, and with him back, it would then mean that maybe Spencer could come back. Not that I know what the real actor is actually doing, but part of the reason why Laura had insisted that he couldn't stay in Port Charles, even though he really wanted to, and it broke my heart when he pleaded to stay in Port Charles, was because she feared for his life. She feared that, you know, at the time that Valentine would go after him, and I think it's safe to say that he wouldn't. But then again, Spencer was also getting into trouble breaking into his old house. Yeah, so I mean, I really want Nicholas back for all the reasons that you said. And the funny thing, you talked about the good and the bad, that came up. You know, Laura was mentioning that it was a struggle with Nicholas. She sees that it's a struggle for Spencer, and Alexis had mentioned, same for her too, like struggling about what sides of the Cassadine that you want to keep and the parts that you want to reject.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting.
That is
Yes,
interesting, honestly.
I don't know. What did you think about Laura's encounter with Valentine?
I didn't know what to make of it because I have a soft spot for Valentine. I think like just the way he loves Nina and the way he is with his daughter. Like I don't know any of that other stuff. Like I started watching when this Valentine is like this smooth talking, sweet, doing great things for Nina. So in my heart, like I like Valentine. I think he's a good character. So in that scene, honestly, Laura was the bad guy and Valentine was the good guy. And when she was stepping on the hand, I was like, what are you doing? And then when she started talking, I was like, oh yeah, he did do that.
That is exactly that. Because in that moment, I was like, right, he's a bad guy. Because he, like I said, he's such a smooth talker. He always has the right thing to say, knows the right thing to say. But it's not just the fact that she pointed those things out. It was the way that he reacted to her too, that he brought out the villain in him. We know he's capable of all these things. We're aware. But in that moment, there was something that changed in him, and you could see the villain in him again. So I don't know.
Good point.
Oh my gosh, we're so smart. So we noticed that, and we talked about earlier how Laura and Alexis were talking about, you know, the good and the bad, and, you know, we're actually seeing it firsthand with Valentine. We see scenes with him where he's loving with Nina and cares about her, and then we see this side of him too. So struggle for all the Cassadines, I guess.
Wow, the dark and the light. Which one will win?
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be really exciting. Maybe him and like the new Cassadine will be roomies. We'll see.
Could you imagine like the odd couple type situation? Like you put some sprinkle some comedy into like.
That would be so crazy. It would be such a contrast to be there with all the funnies in such a dark place.
I think it
Oh
would really make
man.
things super interesting, especially that, we've been talking about over the weeks that they're naturally sprinkling in this like humor, this sort of more
Yeah.
naturalness than the deep soap opera, big slap in the water in the face. Like they're really taking this different approach to it. So that would just kind of like lend to what's already happening.
Yeah, I think so too. It would be really, really funny. And so going from something like that to something extremely ridiculous, this woman, I think, makes everybody react viscerally when she comes on a scene. So the DA this week. So,
Oh, I like. Do
like,
you want to
so,
start?
oh man. So it starts with Jordan. So Jordan explaining the law to her, which I think is just ridiculous that everybody has to keep doing that to her. So she
Yes.
kind of explains, if there was an angle, we would have found it. So again, it is a PCPD, so maybe not. That's true, but still, Jordan is the commissioner, and she told her that we looked and there was nothing. Another thing that I thought was funny was when Jordan to Michael said, "I have a message for Sonny. Just tell him the case is cold. He'll know what it means." And in that moment, I'm like, doesn't everyone know what that means?
That is exactly what I thought. I'm like, this is not code. This is like really not code. It is just words that people know what it means.
Yeah, it was super funny. It was like I was a bit surprised that encounter, like him just ran like that small tiny exchange. It was small, so I'm just sort of wondering what the significance of that is, or if there is one. But anyways, let's move on to the most aggravating part. So she like we know that she is going to go about this in a non-professional way. We see this happening. She's one track mind, and she goes back to Drew. Poor guy. I mean, he's going through his own stuff, and then he has to deal with her. But
Yes.
one thing I love is that he is annoyed. Like, he sees her for what she is, and he gets so annoyed. Like, when she calls him, he's like, "What do you want?"
I know,
and
just
then
tell me.
and then when he sees her in person, he has like no problem appearing like bored or like very irritated. So now she confesses that she has the USB key. No, they call it a flash drive. It sounds better.
Flash drive, yeah.
Flash drive. What did you think of that? Like, I mean, I think it was
Oh.
cool that he, stood up for himself and again repeated no. I don't know. I'm trying to think if like towards the end, it looked like maybe she understood she wouldn't win this, but the fact that she kept trying to act confident and like she was making any headway was ridiculous because it seemed like she thinks that she was making headway and that she had something. And I'm like, you have nothing. And more than that, he already decided like months ago he wouldn't go through the procedure because he didn't know if it would be dangerous or not, if he would survive it. And everybody kind of gathered around and tried to talk him out of it. So, I mean, either way, it was a no. She had nothing.
Okay, so that scene, I was just so aggravated and angry at my TV. I couldn't believe that she had gone to that level. We all know that she stoops low. We all know, like you said, she has a one-track mind. But just to see it play out, and we both agree that her acting is top-notch because I would just reach into the TV and strangle her. Because
Yeah.
I just can't even imagine that she thinks, like in her head, this is logical. This is a logical route for her to go. And him to be like, oh wow, this is such a great idea. I get what I want, and you get what you want,
I
and we live
know.
happily ever after. And maybe we'll even be together. Like, oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, I know. She really cannot read a room for crap. Like, he is beyond not interested. And every time she shows up more and more emotional, like, oh, look, this new information has come in. Do you care now? No. He doesn't care. Nobody cares. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't think anybody cares. And the fact that it hasn't crossed her mind. I mean, if you've prosecuted tons of people, then you know that mob lawyers or people associated with the mob, a lot of this is their choosing. And the fact that she's not even taking that into account, I don't know. I just don't buy it. And the fact that she tried to school him on the law when he was like, isn't this blackmail? She's like, no, it's a trade. I didn't steal it. What are you talking about? The police were looking for the flash drive.
Yeah, I was blown away at her brazenness. Like, she was just so brazen in her, like, she was arrogant and just brazen and just like, this is what it is and this is what I have to offer, and you're basically a fool if you don't take it.
Yeah, that's what Crazy said. And I
Uh-huh.
think he should, like, go right away to Jordan.
I think so
That's what
too.
I was thinking. He
Honestly,
mentioned it.
he
Go ahead.
did. Like, I really think that he should push forward and like do something about it, because he knows, or it's either he's going to trap her the next time around in something still small but significant, and have Jordan either listen or something like that, because we know it's going to happen again.
So to your sentiment about how you feel when you see her on the screen, appraiser1213 on Instagram wrote, "Go away, Margaux. So annoying." That is how I feel. Except
Oh my god!
I have
Every
swear
time.
words usually, but that is like capturing the essence, I think, of how everybody feels when they see her, especially harassing Drew and having the same conversation over and over. Please
Mm-hmm.
don't go. Hear me out again. Oh my gosh, nobody needs to hear you out again. And one interesting point was, so, for me, I'm like, follow through on what you said, and maybe you should tell Jordan what she's doing. But another person, Stargazing82966, thinks that Drew should tell Jason that she has the flash drive, and then Drew and Jason could work together to get it from her. I actually think
I
that's a great
really like
idea. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Sorry, yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I agree with our commenter that that is definitely something that was not on my mind, but is definitely something I should have been thinking about, and I 100% agree.
So you know how we're talking about how, arrogant she is, and where she's really believing that what she's saying is really the ultimate truth, and is
Mm-hmm.
always using and pointing to her father as if people feel anything for her. And so there's her doing it to Drew, but then when she tried doing it to Carly and Sunny at the
Oh,
gravesite, are you serious? Are you
oh my
serious right now?
God. I could not even, and that stupid bow on the letters, like, I'm sorry.
I know.
Like walking around with her pile of letters, trying to like just be in their faces. I honestly do not know how Carly did not like start a cat fight with her.
She kind of did, but I think she knows she's the DA and doesn't want to
I
go back
know.
to jail or anything like that. But I mean, I love watching Carly go at it. And my favorite part was the look she gives Sunny when the DA leaves, and he's like, she's got a point, because she said something about the fact that Sunny, he does these things, and Carly was just like, what? Why are you? Don't disagree with Carly, Sunny. I think he should know not to ever do that. But it was just horrible. I mean, the memorial was really sweet though. It was really nice. I remember them doing it last year. And it got interrupted by Ava. But this one was really beautiful because they included way more characters in it, and I love that. I love seeing all the characters all together. I love
Me
seeing them
too.
honor, historical connections. The fact that, of course, Laura and Lulu would be there for something like this. So
Yeah.
I really, really like seeing everybody together like that. It was really, really cool.
Me too. I like it when they bring and it's just like so supportive, because in the end, like whatever is going on, these people are like live in the same town and go through all the same trauma, and they
Mm-hmm.
still stay in that town, and it's crazy. But yeah, it's really nice to see them discuss, all the happy times, and really like keep his memory alive. And I really appreciated the way they did it. Like, it wasn't like
Yeah.
super depressing, and it was just like in a lovely spot, like where they have the coffee cart and all of that.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was very well done.
I really liked it. And I mean, as usual, Ava kind of makes her mark on that day too. Like last year, she actually walked through it, and there was sort of a fight about
Ooh.
her being there. And then this year, she decides to go to the gravesite, and now we have a very brazen and bold Kiki who just shows
Yeah.
up and is like, "You need to go." I was just like, "That's intense." But before Kiki gets there, she's talking to Julian, and I mean, I guess this really speaks to who Ava is. But she's talking to Julian, and she's like, Morgan was just one of the two people that got me, but it wasn't two people, the two men.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "You don't really count."
It's
Why?
like, why
Why?
doesn't a supportive
Why does
brother?
Nate count? He sees you for you. He loves you. You guys are inappropriately close. I didn't understand that, but it totally speaks to her vainness. That to her, the most significant people in her life are two of the hottest guys ever.
Young, hot men. Got it. That's the
Yeah.
only people that matter in her life. Noted.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it's very true. But yeah, she's not holding back at all. But then Ava kind of tries to do that thing where she's talking to her being like, you'll know one day what it's like when people you love turn their backs on you. And I'm like, the thing is, she's an individual who is aware of her actions and can handle the consequences if she treated somebody badly. So she treated somebody badly and somebody it's not like people are going to go up to her and randomly being mean, like loved ones, I mean, people who she actually knows and is close to. So,
well, the thing is, it's like, Kiki has actual human feelings and human reactions. Ava's like this mob bot that goes around with all these, like, I want to kill you, I want vengeance, I only think about myself, but in like the most horrible way. So it's like, exactly that. Even if Kiki were to mess up or do something that was out of character, she has remorse. She has real feelings. She puts herself in other people's shoes. Like, I don't know what Ava is thinking, but they're not the same.
No, not at all. So the fact that she wants Kiki to kind of feel what she feels, I mean, yes, I get that, but you guys are not ever going to be walking the same path. What I find, okay, do you ever ask this? Why does she keep going? Why does Ava keep going to Carly's hotel? Why does she keep going there for drinks?
Oh, that's a good point, because there's like Charlie's, there's like the floating rib, there's like all these new joints now. What's the deal? Do they make the best martinis?
Well, Julian, I'm guessing it's the only fancy place, but like Julian was like, well, maybe we should have went to Charlie's because everybody from the memorial or some people from the memorial showed up, and well, Kiki showed up mainly. But I was just like, why? Like, you hate her so much, and you still keep going there where you have a really good chance of seeing her and Sunny all the time. So I don't get that part.
But she's also a tortured soul. Like, she likes to put herself in situations where she can be angry or she can react. She's very reactionary, if that's a word or the right word. So it's like, it's almost like she wants to go there to one. It's like kind of like the Cat and I things, like two sides. Sometimes I see it like I think in her mind, she does, like 10% of her want to be a normal, functioning, good human being.
Yeah, I
So
think
that's
so
where like all those things happen. And then the side that takes over, the vengeful, the angry, the whatever it is, other side. So it's like, maybe she does go there with the intention of just being normal. And then it just takes like the
And then
small
she forgets.
thing.
She forgets
Just
she's
to make her like
evil.
explode, that, hey, wait a second, I really don't like that person. Oh my God, she looked at me in that way that I don't like. I'm going to kill her. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just...
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, I really like her. Like, I actually like her character. And then, but then there's sometimes I don't feel bad for her, but then I do. It's just really funny the way I feel about Ava, but it's just none of her close friends. Actually, no one feels bad. I mean, this week, 2 people talked to her about Kiki. So Alexis, even though she was such a mood kill earlier in the week, she kind of redeemed herself in the conversation she had with Ava, kind of putting it into perspective that Kiki was important, which everybody is trying to do with her because everyone else is looking at this from a normal perspective. You're going through hurt, your child did this, but hey, kids do things and we gotta move on because they're your kid. No, but she obviously, like you said, she's only 10% of that. And so then later, which is so funny, when somebody like Scott, who has very loose morals, loose morals, like no moral compass. Yeah, I love how he's like, well, of course you're going to be mad at Griffin, but Kiki's your daughter. You got to forgive her. And I just love it. She's just like, oh, I'm the injured party. And I'm just like, oh, I feel so bad because I do get why she's upset, Like, this happened to you. 2 people betrayed you. They've rubbed it in your face at the park. Well, they didn't know she was there, but that was so the best. That was the best for me. It was beyond amusing. First of all, what's up with Griffin? All of a sudden, he's like Mr. Cool, Mr. Man, like Father Griffin. But I love how they try to showcase that. He's like, oh, I helped a lady cross the road. And then he's like, I love the view from behind you. I'm like, whoa, Father Griffin. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. You ease into fun at a decent pace, okay? Jeez. So they're hilarious, Griffin and Kiki. But yeah, apparently I heard that she's I don't want to talk about like spoilers and stuff like that.
I don't want to talk about it either.
I heard she's leaving the show. I don't know how, and I'll leave it at that. And I would love a recast. How about we just put our hopes out there?
I vote for recast because I don't want to see the story with Griffin end and his development and all of that, and just like that whole interaction with the Kiki Griffin character and the Ava lingering in the background. Like, I don't want to see it end just yet.
Me neither. I really, really enjoyed that. But I mean, wasn't it completely, I mean, we know Ava will, like you said, she'll be like, I want to kill you. But then having her say it out loud to her therapist and her therapist agreeing you should do that. And I love it. He acts crazy. Well, he is. He's like an evil twin. But I love how everyone thinks because he's a therapist that he must, oh, I see what you're doing. I was like, no, no. But when she said it out loud, you know, I want to kill her. And I'm like, really? I mean, you know what murder is. Like, she will die. Like, that's what
It's
you want to do?
permanent. It's very permanent.
Yeah, Ava. I like her being bad, but I'm just like, don't kill Kiki. I mean, be mad. Go find
Yeah,
another
like,
hot guy. It's not like you can't.
exactly. Like, stop being so reactionary towards, like, stop putting all your energy. And I kind of like what Scott said. He's like, you're feeding into all of this
Yes.
yeah, like, I totally agree with him. I'm like, oh my God, I'm agreeing with Scott. This is weird.
Yes, he pointed out, same thing I was thinking, that the more angry she gets, the more she did things like to get revenge on Griffin. Because imagine if she had taken the high road, they would have felt too guilty to be together. Too guilty. But because she
1000%.
went at it them, she just gave them permission to be together. And he pointed out to her, but again, she really didn't like that because she is the injured party, of course. Well, she is. Like, she is. I'm not gonna take that from her. It's true. It's true, but yet nobody feels bad. So that was really entertaining. Another, like, blah moment. I know this is so bad. I don't know. I'll give it a minute of our time. What do you think is Aiden's problem? Elizabeth and Franco are concerned about Aiden. Aiden's got a problem at school.
I think it's because of those pencils.
Me too. Done. Okay. So
Okay. All right, move on.
We've given it a nod to that, like, that storyline. Okay, so we've talked about this, and I have a feeling we might have even talked about it, like, two podcasts, but it's, Lulu and Dante. It looks like they're really building a wedge between them. Who do you think is going in that wedge?
I think they're going down the Chase road. I think they're going to tease us with, the whole Peter thing. They're going to make it seem like it's that. Just because I think it's just going to be like, how exactly that, like how Maxie heard a portion of the conversation. And I think all he's doing is he's going to be a good friend. But I think Lulu is so oblivious that she's going to read into it a little bit more and make it more dramatic than it needs to be. Peter's going to be like, no, I don't like you that way. And she's going to be all awkward and weird. And then she's going to fall into Chase's arms.
Oh my God, I really hope not. I mean, she can't afford to look even more stupid. Like, obviously there's something between Peter and Maxie. Even Maxie, I was like, you're stalking him outside of his office. Why? Why would you be jealous? Like, because in my head, I'm like, this is explicit. Maxie and him have something. He's, like, into Maxie. That's clear. Lulu is married. I mean, we know that doesn't mean anything all the time, but I mean, there's nothing there. Like, that's how I saw it.
Okay,
but I
so
obviously can see that could happen.
Like, I think it's like, just because, like, right now they're showing her as, like, she's this broken mother partner, right? And when you're
broken mother partner.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, oh, I get it. Okay. So, she's so, like, she's just missing, like, and he hit it, how do you say, like, the nail on the head. Like, he's like, oh, you're probably missing, like, adult interaction. So I don't think it matters at this point what guy would give her attention. Because even when Chase was giving her attention, I don't necessarily think it's because it was Chase. And I don't think that was where they were going right at that point. But he was just paying attention to her, listening to her, doing the things that she would do if her husband was around. So all these guys are doing until they figure out, but I think it's going to be like a whole misunderstanding because Lulu's just nutty.
Yeah, I really, again, like, I don't know. I do know. I don't want this. I don't want the misunderstanding. I think it's different when she interacts with Peter because she's always had that relationship with him where I feel like they're guiding each other, but no way was there that level of intimacy in the way that there was between him and Maxie. But yeah, obviously a misunderstanding is ahead. But I love how she tries to be professional. She's like, oh, did you hear that? And then he's like, don't worry about it. Let's just jump into this meeting. And then she finds a way to bring it up where you don't have to. at all bring it up.
I
And they're
know. I
talking,
was
and
like,
she's like, so I was going to make that edit, but then that's when Dante called, and this is where I'm going to tell you more things about my personal life that you don't want to hear about. I'm just like, oh man, he's so nice. Why are you doing this? She's like, I mean, she's the most unprofessional person
oh my
ever.
God, really? And I love the look on his face. You couldn't tell if it was like appease or like genuine listening. Like I just liked the expression on his face when she was talking about all of it.
Oh man, I mean, it was funny. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, her being unprofessional is very entertaining for sure. But I just thought that was really hilarious how she kept trying to talk about Dante. He's like, we really don't have to, man. We really don't have to. So,
Oh my God.
so how do you think our killer's doing? Our psycho?
Oh
Isn't
my
he funny?
gosh. Okay, he is funny because I laughed out loud when Felicia's like, I'm going on a cruise, and she's like, no.
I know, like, no one. Are you not picking up on this? Is super peculiar, and the fact that your husband leaves for one. I love the alarm bell. You're eating pastry. You never eat pastry.
I
Maybe you're
know.
cheating on me. Maybe you don't want to be with
Oh my
me.
God. Like, of all the things that she could pick up on, it was the friggin' pastry. I was laughing. Like,
And
come
I'm
on.
like, or the fact that he doesn't want to have anything to do with you. And I mean, like, whining
Yeah.
about this cold, but I'm just saying, like, any normal woman would start to wonder, okay, well, Lucy comes over with soup. He's being distant. Is he, like, cheating? Obviously, in soap opera land, it's because he's been switched out. But
Right.
the fact that you're letting it pass, and I mean, it did make sense when she was talking with Felicia, and Felicia mentioned, well, the Ryan Chamberlain murders have come up. But even at that, there's been a massive discrepancy about Laura's knowledge of how he has responded or reacted
Okay.
to Ryan's actions versus how he has reacted while she was away. Anyways, there's a lot of clues. I mean, I guess it's weird to assume your husband was replaced by
Right.
somebody who's thought to be dead for sure. Maybe I wouldn't catch on right away, but something's definitely wrong. I'm glad that Felicia and everybody managed to, well, basically she doesn't have to be alone with him to write this press release anymore. But
Yes.
then the way he was sort of looking at Maxie,
I know that,
I
like,
was
and
like,
then it turned from like funny
no.
to creepy the way, yeah, he was, and especially with like every time she was talking about, like, let's just put this behind us, he's a psycho, and then you see, like, you can see his anger or his crazy brain working, and I was like, and then Felicia's gonna be gone. Who's going to be left? Who is the exact same situation that it was before? Her son is in the situation that her sister was. She is in the situation that Felicia was. Like, it's like a whole
Oh, that's
reenactment
true.
of the new time.
Yeah. Well, wait, it's Ryan to Maxie or what Maxie was dealing with Faison?
Like I was thinking like Ryan may get upset with Maxie, like he's gonna get
Oh,
to a
yeah,
boiling
yeah.
point, and then he's going to I honestly think that he's going to be so enraged that when he
Yeah.
looks at her, he's literally going to see Felicia like as a flash.
Yes, okay, yes. I totally see that. I've got really scared for her though. I mean, mind you, all of
Yeah.
the way he acts is really, really funny. But in that scene with Maxie, I got a little bit scared for her. Like she needs any more trauma at this point.
Exactly. I'm like, hasn't she been through enough? Doesn't she deserve a break? A boyfriend that lives and sticks around, not being kidnapped or not being whatever. Like, she just needs some peace and quiet, for crying out loud.
I know. Anyway, she was trying to get some of that with Peter, but I don't know who she's going to take to that movie. That movie festival that
She,
everybody is going to.
maybe she's gonna take Chase. That would be interesting. Do
Then
they have
Lulu
a
will be
connection?
jealous.
I know, but that would make it interesting. That would make it kind of
That
like,
I like. That I can get behind. I can get behind that, I think. In the words of Griffin. Okay, so on to more depressing, frustrating. So the Oscar storyline is continuing to unfold. He's obviously acting out. He's being like super teenager. There's been no
yes,
developments on it in terms of his health, except for the fact that all of a sudden Kim and Drew are very much on can survive this. Like there's a tone that's completely switched. I find with the adults
true,
in a way
interesting.
about his prognosis or whatnot. But then he goes to Alexis.
Okay, like I honestly thought he was gonna go there because he, they put him as like this, like going to school. No, so I honestly thought he was going there to ask for emancipation.
Oh yeah, that would have been more obvious. Like, didn't even cross my mind. But that would have made sense given how mad he was. But then it's like,
Yeah.
Alexis is like, okay, who is this really about, you and your stupid little project? But yeah, so that was insane because I could see how heartbreaking that could be, that he's going to, it's just that I find it hard to believe that he's going to be this stubborn as well, maybe he won't get sicker actually. Maybe this will just be about starting the trial when he maybe will try to enforce this. But I mean, that's going to be a heartbreaking court case if it actually becomes a court case, but it doesn't really sound valid. She said it would have to be in her best interest, and it very much is in his best interest. So let's see what happens there. What did you think about Cameron this week?
I really like him. I liked him this week very much because, we say he acts like his typical teenage self. But what I really enjoyed his interaction with Oscar and the fact that he doesn't give a shit if he's sick or not sick. He doesn't give a shit about anything. All he wants to make sure is that, Jocelyn is okay. All he wants is the truth to be out. That's what he
He
wants.
wants the truth to be out, but you know what? He can do that. So
I know, but it's not his secret to tell. Like, I can see where that's conflicting, especially as a teenager.
Do you really think that's what Cameron's thinking about, that it's not his secret to tell? I mean, look, in his defense, he did negotiate with Oscar that if the next thing doesn't work, you have to tell her because she's not believing this. She's too smart.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. It showed the good in him, but at the same time, I'm like, I would like to know actually from Cameron at some point what the dilemma is for him about not just telling her. Because, like, I mean, he obviously has no loyalty to Oscar.
Right.
So part of me is like, yes, you're saying it's not his secret to tell, but then I'm like, well, how much is this motivated by selfishness of wanting Jocelyn?
Okay. Okay. In saying that, maybe that does stir something in me in the sense that it's not that it's his secret. He needs it to come from Oscar in order for the anger and blame to go straight to Oscar. If he says it, he's going to end up taking the brunt of, why did you tell me? You knew for so long. You knew that this was happening. Like, maybe that's a tactic.
True. That's true. Maybe he's smarter than we think. I mean, I love how he calls him on his crap. I love how he's like, you have Oscar who's all, I mean, again, he has a reason to be all messed up in his head right now and a little depressed. But I love how Cameron just like goes at him and is like, all right, this is why you don't get invited to parties.
I loved when he said that. I was laughing. Oh my god. I'm like, you're so hilarious. Like, the dude's dying and you're saying about how he's depressing and that's why he's not going to party.
But I loved it. I mean, it speaks to who Cameron is. And I mean, I think that's just the surface of him. I think there's a lot more to him. But at the same time, I was like, yay, okay. Is this the beginning of the bromance? I'm hoping, because their interactions are getting a little bit more cute.
I agree.
Except I feel bad for Jocelyn and that whole photo thing. I think it was just really heartbreaking, but I do have a feeling it will work.
Yeah, I think it will work too. It was devastating. Like, I felt like I literally could hear her heartbreak. That was just a bit much for her. And especially when he said at some point, like on the day of, the whole memorial thing, that he's like, I don't love you. I never loved you, or something like that.
I know.
Like, wow, that's intense, dude.
It's not that I didn't. Okay, obviously I know that he loved her, but honestly, as the week was going, until he had that conversation with Cameron, I was starting to actually wonder, is Oscar really so upset and focused on himself that maybe he really, Jocelyn is like the last thing on his mind right now. Maybe this isn't so hard for him to sever ties with her. But obviously we see that wasn't true, but he was doing such a good job at pushing her away that I was starting to think that, okay, well, maybe he doesn't have time for her right now. Not just time for her, but doesn't really care to deal with her, period.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just don't know if, let's say for him, that was hard to do. Not just pushing her away, but pushing her away when Morgan's death was sort of up in the air. Oh, well, at the same time, her talking about Morgan's death was really a punch to the gut to him as well. So,
yes. Oh, it was just all very heart-wrenching, difficult, bad scene.
I mean, I wonder, okay, so Jocelyn made a thing about trusting her gut, about wanting to stick by and I know Oscar, I know that something more must be going on. And then she talks to Kim, and Kim very implicitly kind of is guiding Jocelyn to not give up on him. I just wonder if she's gonna trust that despite the picture, or just sort of say, okay, well, forget this and maybe spiral. go lean on Cameron more?
I thought about it two ways, exactly that, lean on Cameron because they've been friends for a long time and blah, 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 blah. But at the same token, I was like, what is she really like? Because you know when you're mad about something, or like when we were teenage, or like you look at a picture of a boy, you're like gonna stare at that picture. You're gonna stare at like every single detail of that picture until it's like burnt into your brain of like hate, so that when you see that woman, you know what you're gonna do. So what if she's just like staring at that picture and she just realizes like, oh, okay, this is weird. Why is this off? And then she's gonna go to Cameron and be like, Cameron, do you see this in this picture? Doesn't this look weird? And then she's gonna read his face or like something like that, you know?
I agree, because you pointed out something that like girls in general were a bit intense. We're going to analyze things. We're going to go over it over and over, like you said. And at the same time, yeah, she might be so laser focused on that picture, she might actually notice some kind of discrepancy, or even better, like most girls would, stalk that girl and try to find her. And when she can't, or maybe she does find her and she lives really far, or she realizes, this is not true. I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. She might stay focused on the picture, and she might continue to try to find a way to like stay on the Oscar track and not really give up on him, even though it took me a really long time to say that and for the words to come out. I think that'll happen. So
okay, I'm with you.
so okay, so tell me, we have two more storylines to talk about. Which one do you want to leave for last, if that's even a good sentence? So we have Michael and Nell, and then Nina.
Oh my
Maybe
God.
we end
Okay,
with Michael.
yeah, let's end with
We'll end
Michael.
with
Let's talk
Michael
about
because Nina is like, it's a bit more emotional.
Yes.
So Nina gets to meet her daughter. Well, leading up to like, obviously the big thing is her meeting her daughter, but it's just really cute when the whole lead in the week where she starts to tell Lulu about her daughter, and then in her very funny way is like, I left a voicemail, and I thought that was like so cute the way she keeps telling the story. So she meets her daughter. Everything looks like, her daughter sees the DNA test. They start talking. They agree to go to a second location, and then bam, she kind of just goes, well, I didn't really want a relationship with you anyway. I was just coming here for closure. That was not obvious.
No, and like, okay, the beginning of the scene, just to like rewind a little bit, I love, love, love Curtis and her, I mean, I know I say it every time, but I love Curtis and Nina's relationship, and I love that he was the one that was there with her, and that she came with like a bouquet of flowers. Like, it was just so, you can feel the love between Curtis and Nina on a friend level, and you felt the optimism and hope and just joy in Nina standing there just waiting for this moment to happen, and it was just really beautiful. But yes, so that's the starting, and then as you're describing right now, when they're in that scene and she's just like, all right, thanks for the coffee, see you later, you're like, oh my God, like, what is happening right now? Can this even be happening for Nina? I just want to hug her because this must be incredibly devastating.
Because she felt like she was saying all the wrong things, and to be honest, and she was like, well, nothing's coming out right. She kind of made that comment toward Nina that a lot wasn't coming out right. But I mean, I get it. She's protective of her mother. Her mother's dead. She can't really defend herself. So this is Sasha's mom.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, how do you think Nina feels? It's like, I don't even think it hit Nina in that moment. But for me watching it, it's like, well, your mother stole you from her. Like, I mean, obviously it was Nina's mom too, who obviously said things in motion.
Yes.
But how do you expect Nina to feel about your mother? Because that person got to have all the time that she wanted. And she didn't really go there, but she was just asking her questions and kind of pointing out that her mother lied. So, I mean, that's not going to go well when she feels like that maybe she's attacking her mom in any way. But it was my gosh, Nina brought tears to my eyes when she was starting to plead with her, because the girl was ready to kind of get up and go because she got what she needed. It wasn't going well anymore. Nina eventually convinced her to have breakfast the following morning, so we'll get to see more of this on Monday and what happens then. But I mean, Nina really went for it, and she kind of spoke from the heart and expressed like how hard this was for her. Like, I mean, I get it. It's hard for Sasha, but you're not really the only one, and I think you should be old enough to kind of see this, but you're not the only one affected by this.
Exactly. Like, you're an adult. You must be able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes to understand that Nina didn't know. Like, listen to her story. Listen to the fact that she lost a child. She lost all this time. Like, this is new information for you. This is new information for her, as crazy as it is. But the thing she's been dreaming about all her life.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a lot of pressure for Sasha too, and I think maybe she feels like, and I'm just assuming here, but like, oh, she feels like she's betraying her mom, and then maybe feeling pressure to kind of give this woman what she needs. Not that I feel that Nina really gave her that, but like you're pointing out, it's a lot on Sasha's side too, and I can get why it's so overwhelming that she can't even bring herself to see things from Nina's perspective. I think she did the moment Nina got really emotional. She began to see a little bit of that. But yeah, I think one meeting was a lot, and maybe it was just really overwhelming for Sasha to start with, and she just figured, I'll do this, I'll get this meeting over with, and then I can kind of put it under the rug and go on with my life. But it's a soap opera, so that's not going to happen. So Sasha's going to
Exactly.
move to Port Charles in a day or two, so we'll
Oh,
see.
yeah.
So that was a lot. It was a long time coming. I actually didn't think, that's what I mean. Like, Nina is meeting her daughter faster than Sam and Jason can get together. I'm just saying.
That is a very good point.
Like, a lot of things are moving along, and then you're looking at these two, and even though you and I had said they're gonna get back together, it's fine, let it just play out. But the teasing, I'm just like, all right, I'm kind of over it. Just like, please, it's not over it like I don't care, over it like it's frustrating me, please make it happen. So another thing today's episode specifically, was the return of Nell, and man, was it really chilling to see her. Her hair looked great though. It was like a little extra blonde, but it was so chilling. Oh my gosh. And she's still as crazy as ever. This girl starts talking about her nightmares of grieving for her child who is not dead.
Yeah, like, I can't
Michael.
believe it. Like, she does crazy, like, to the next level. Like, she is awesome at what she does. But yeah, her talking about her dream is just, like, unfreaking believable.
But I almost believed her. I was watching it and I'm like, oh yeah, that must be hard. And I was like, wait a minute, your kid is not dead. Like, the way she even pulls me in is why I think she's so psycho and so creepy. I just liked, I mean, this was in a lot of the commercials, but I liked it when she was like, it's good to see you, you look good, to Michael, and Michael was like, you look appropriate, and they show the handcuffs that she was wearing, which was amazing. Like, my fave was Lil Chase. I love him. He plays professional detective with confidence so amazingly, but then he also switches to being little brother also really well, and he has these two different sides of himself. Like, he really plays the professional part of him, and then the personal little brother issues really well too. But when he walks on the scene and is like, Nell, got your tears ready? I was just like, it's hilarious, because everybody knows she just wants a platform to just continue to lie, and it makes sense to nobody there because they're like, there's just overwhelming evidence, which makes me scared because,
Why?
well, I think she's going to jail because we all know that she's not on the show anymore.
Right.
But I just feel like with her, it's like she always finds a way to win. She found a way to win by hiding Michael's baby in plain sight. And then her confidence, it just makes me scared because she plays psycho so well. The fact that she's so confident makes me go, should I believe in you? Like,
Oh my gosh.
you're
Okay,
super confident.
that's a really good point. Well, like you said, like, if you believe her, if she fooled Michael, if she fooled Chase, if she fooled all of Port Charles, who's to say that she's not going to have the whole jury buy in to her sympathy?
Yeah, and Carly like raised a good point, and I don't know if she can do it, but she told Michael that, when we're up there, we can't let our hatred for her show because that is going to work in favor of Nell. They just have to hear a testimony all calm. So I don't know how it's going to work, but obviously I'm sure you thought the same thing. So Brad leaves the Davis girls to go because he's like, gotta take this baby,
Oh my
gotta take
God.
him
Like,
home. Don't want this baby to be all crying here at Kelly's. So I'm gonna leave and take him to the courthouse. What?
like, what is this guy thinking? He freaks out in the smallest situations, and then you go here, it's like, seriously, this is seriously the best place you could be right now. Like,
I
no
don't
other place but Charles.
I'm gonna take a guess when Monday comes around, like, Brad, what are you doing here? I'm hoping it's not it. Like, what could he be doing there? Why would you? Obviously, he didn't show up for this because he tries to turn around, and Nell's like, Brad, is that you? And like, she sees the baby and he's freaking out because like, oh my gosh, both your parents are here. He sees Nell and he knows she's a wild card and then sees Michael. But I'm like, what are you there for, to pay a ticket? Like, what are you doing? So I can't wait to hear the logic behind why Brad is there. And what I did notice is that the show starts with Michael and it's like every time Michael has any scenes in an episode, that's when Brad randomly shows up. They're always on the episode together. I mean, I know that they're sharing a storyline, but I always find it funny. So Michael is at a court. He has like this full story, but then we always have Brad just lurking in the background whenever Michael has the story on.
That's a perfect way to do it because Brad looked like a lurker. Like that's just like who he looks like.
He's been looking for a while with that baby. It's just everywhere. He's everywhere. So yeah, so that whole thing was really scary. She's scary, but I wonder if we're actually going to get to see a bit of the court case on Monday. I don't know.
I hope so. I think that would be a really interesting way to start off the week.
I know we didn't talk about it at all, so I'll just offer this up to you if you want to,
Okay.
because I know you love him. If there's anything you want to say about Finn.
Okay, I do have a question about Finn, and it's just like kind of like the pencil story. Let's just like touch this really quick.
Yeah.
So Finn is like his anger towards his dad and his new wife. Like I don't get it. Like I don't get it.
I mean, it makes
Is there
less and
something I'm
less
missing?
sense. Well,
Okay.
I mean, I need to. I don't. I feel like
Okay, so
there has
there's no
to be.
okay.
Like Finn has stuck to that story. Finn has stuck to the story that he feels, and he's told this to Anna, that his father kind of moved on. He feels too quickly. But it's starting to make less and less sense. And especially when the father points out, hey, well, you know, your wife passed and then you moved on with other people. Like two actually since then. So I'm just sort of like, yeah, it's making less and less sense. I don't know if there's going to be something that comes out of it or if it's really just going to be some basic family drama and then he'll just get over it. But yeah, it's starting to be a little bit like, let it go. Let it go. I'm not going to sing that.
Really? No, I'm glad you're not going to. So, it's like, I'm like, because I'm just like, you know, rewatching that. Oh, is there a backstory that I was missing? Okay, so there's no backstory that I'm missing. It's literally just seeing and developing as it's happening. Because it's like, is this like, you know, problems of people who don't have problems? You know what I mean?
But Finn is so, he's mechanical, you know, he doesn't waste his time on these little things. He's gotten through his drug addiction. Like he's very much, his work is his life. And there's a backstory to that. You know, the work that he was doing on Blackwoods was something his wife had died from and he continued to search for a cure. So it doesn't really make sense, to be honest. Like in terms of his character, to hold on to something like that, I don't know. It doesn't.
It doesn't. I am curious though. Like it's not. It's kind of like the Brad story underlying. I'm curious to see where they're going to take that.
Me too. I hope it's going somewhere. But I just thought of something that might make it make sense for his character. He's very decisive, you know, like things are very black and white. So maybe it makes sense on that front. Like I decided this a long time ago that I'm not going to have a relationship with you. So that's that.
That could be it. You know, maybe he's stubborn, but like I would like to see, like I like his relationship with Anna and what he's doing and the possible connection to the lady that he was helping, Cassandra. Is it Cassandra?
Yeah.
Cassandra. Okay. So, but I would like to see more development in what he has to do because then it's like, why is he there? And I know there's like Chase and all of that, but to have a little bit more on his history, I think would be an interesting thing.
So I heard a rumor, and again, I don't like to do the whole rumors on the podcast. I like it just be like, you know, our thoughts. So there was this rumor, or people were talking that it was possible that maybe Chase is actually Nina's kid.
What?
And that the reason why Finn might be so mad at his dad is because he knows that Chase is like no one's kid. I don't know.
What?
I don't know if it really makes sense, but somebody had pointed out something like it was like a conspiracy, but somebody had pointed out, you know, he lived in New York and something like that. They were trying to draw links between Chase's, what we know of his backstory, plus Nina, but I don't know. So again, that may not be like real at all, but I guess the reality is that a lot of people feel that it has to be something more dramatic than my dad moved on too quickly.
I think
after
so
my
too.
mom died.
That's just not enough for me. I don't care how black and white the character is. Like in all of the stories in GH, like if that's what he has on his plate, like we have to watch for his exit.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's more than that. But yeah, it's been a really good week, and I'm so looking forward to Monday. I just want to know, Brad, why are you at the courthouse?
We should tweet him. We should tweet him something
Yeah.
funny because he's quite funny in his tweets. So
Yeah, and I think he gets a lot of heat for like taking a baby, which he didn't actually do in real life.
I know. I love it. I love it. It's amazing.
Anyway, so you have a really good weekend.
You too.
Okay,
Take
so
care.
talk
Kiss
next
those
week. You too.
munchies.
I
Bye.
will. Bye.